There's a rule that separates people who build wealth from people who just look wealthy. It's called the $5,000 car rule. And here's the thing, 95% of people have never heard of it. That's not an accident, because if everyone followed this rule, the entire car industry would collapse overnight. But the people who do follow it, they end up with millions in the bank while everyone else is trapped making $700 monthly payments on a depreciating asset. Stay until the end, because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you think about cars and money forever. If you watched my last video, same salary, one is rich, one is broke, the car lie nobody talks about, you saw exactly how car payments quietly destroy your ability to build wealth. We broke down the math, we exposed the trap, but I got hundreds of comments asking the same question. Okay, so what do I do instead? How do rich people actually handle cars? That's what this video is about. This is the solution, the strategy, the rule that millionaires follow, but nobody teaches you in school. And if you haven't seen that previous video, go watch it after this one because it sets up everything we're about to discuss. It shows you the problem. This video gives you the answer. Before we dive in, if you're serious about breaking free from financial traps and learning how wealth actually works, hit that subscribe button right now, because the content on this channel isn't motivational fluff. It's real strategies, real data, and real principles that will change your financial life. Now let's get into the $5,000 car rule and why it's one of the most powerful wealth-building tools you've never heard of. The $5,000 car rule is simple. Never have more than $5,000 tied up in a car until you've built real wealth. Not $10,000, not $15,000, not $35,000 with financing. $5,000. Cash. That's it. Now I know what you're thinking. $5,000? That's going to buy me some broken down piece of junk that's going to leave me stranded on the highway. And that's exactly what the car industry wants you to believe. Because if you believe that, you'll keep financing $35,000 cars and paying them $700 a month for 6 years while they make a fortune off your fear. But here's the reality. A well-maintained used car from 2012 to 2015, something like a Toyota Corolla or a Honda Civic with around 100 to 130,000 miles, costs between $4,000 and $6,000. And with basic maintenance, that car will run another 100,000 miles easily. The reliability gap between that car and a brand new $40,000 car, practically non-existent, but the financial gap, life-changing. Let me put this in perspective. The average new car payment in America right now is $743 per month. The average loan term is 68 months. That's over $50,000 spent on a car that loses 30% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. Meanwhile, that same $50,000 invested in an index fund averaging 8% annual returns would grow to over $74,000 in 6 years. You're not just buying a car, you're choosing between a depreciating liability and a growing asset, and most people choose wrong. Let's break down the actual numbers because this is where it gets brutal. Let's say you buy a $35,000 car. You put $3,000 down. You finance $32,000 at 7% interest over 6 years. Your monthly payment is $562. Over the life of that loan, you'll pay over $40,000 for a car that's worth maybe $12,000 by the time it's paid off. Now let's compare that to the $5,000 car rule. You buy a reliable used car for $5,000 in cash. You budget an extra $1,500 over 6 years for maintenance, oil changes, tires, repairs. Total cost, $6,500. At the end of 6 years, that car is still worth around $3,000. Your net cost? $3,500. But here's where it gets insane. While the new car buyer was paying $562 a month for 6 years, you were investing that same amount. At 8% annual return, that $562 per month becomes $49,600 in 6 years. Add the $3,000 value of your used car, and your net financial position is $52,600. The new car buyer's net position? Negative $28,000 after accounting for the car's depreciation and what they paid. That's an $80,000 difference in financial outcomes. Same 6 years, same monthly cash flow. Completely different financial realities. One person has wealth, the other has a car that's almost paid off and nothing else. And this pattern repeats every 6 to 8 years for your entire working life. Let me show you what this looks like over a 40-year career. If you pay $600 a month in car payments from age 25 to age 65, you will spend $288,000 on car payments. $288,000. Just gone. evaporated into depreciation and interest. Now let's run the numbers on the $5,000 car rule approach. Instead of car payments, you invest $600 per month for 40 years at 8% annual return. The result? $2.87 million. $2.87 million. That's not a typo. That's the power of compound interest over 4 decades. So the real question isn't, can I afford this car payment? The real question is, can I afford to lose $2.8 million? Because that's what you're actually choosing. Every time you finance a car, you're not just buying transportation. You're giving up generational wealth. You're trading your future for a nicer dashboard and leather seats today. And here's the part that breaks people's brains. This assumes you only invest what you would have spent on payments. But when you drive used cars, you also save on insurance, which is cheaper for older cars. You save on registration fees. You save on depreciation losses. So the real opportunity cost is even higher than $2.8 million. We're talking about the difference between retiring wealthy and retiring broke. And it all comes down to one decision: what you drive. So why do people ignore this? Why do 95% of Americans finance cars they can't afford instead of following the $5,000 rule? Because of psychology, because of status, because of fear, and because the entire system is designed to exploit those emotions. Car companies don't sell transportation. They sell identity. They sell success. They sell the feeling of being important. The commercials show successful people driving luxury cars. Your coworkers pull up in new SUVs. Your neighbors have 2 new cars in the driveway, and your brain starts whispering, "You deserve this too. You work hard. You should reward yourself." And here's the trap. You can technically afford the payment. $600 a month? That fits in your budget. You're making decent money, so you sign the papers. You drive off the lot feeling great, and for about 2 weeks, that car makes you happy. Then it becomes normal. It's just your car. But the payment, that payment stays every single month for the next 6 years. And every month, that's money you're not investing, money you're not saving, money that's not building your future. There's a study that shows actual millionaires, people with net worths over $1 million, drive used cars on average. The most popular car among millionaires? A 3 to 5-year-old Toyota or Honda. Meanwhile, people making $60,000 a year are driving $45,000 finance trucks to project an image of success they don't actually have. This is what Thomas Stanley called being big hat, no cattle in his research. You look successful, but you're broke. And the person driving the old Camry, they're sitting on a 7-figure investment portfolio. Now let me tackle the objections because I know exactly what you're thinking. Used cars break down all the time. I'll be spending thousands on repairs. It's not worth the headache. Here's the data. According to AOA, the average annual maintenance cost for a used car is about $1,200 per year. For a new car, it's around $1,000 per year. So yes, you'll spend an extra $200 per year on maintenance. $200. Meanwhile, the average new car payment costs $8,916 per year. You're spending $200 more to save almost $9,000. That's not a bad trade. But what about reliability? What if I get stranded? Here's the thing. Modern cars are incredibly reliable. A 2012 Honda Civic with 120,000 miles, properly maintained, will easily go another 100,000 miles. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power consistently rank older Hondas and Toyotas as some of the most reliable vehicles on the road. The reliability gap between a 5-year-old used car and a brand new car is tiny, but the cost gap is enormous. But I need to look professional for work. Clients will judge me. Will they? Studies show that clients value competence, results, and professionalism, not your car. And here's the kicker. Actual successful people drive used cars. If you show up in a 3-year-old Accord, nobody thinks you're broke. They think you're smart. But if you show up in a $70,000 financed BMW while struggling to pay your bills, you're not fooling anyone. You're just broke with a nice car. I can afford the payment. It fits my budget. This is the most dangerous objection, because affordability isn't about whether you can make the payment. It's about opportunity cost. Yes, you can afford $700 a month. But what else could that $700 do? Over 30 years, that $700 becomes $1.2 million. So the real question isn't, can I afford this payment? It's, can I afford to give up $1.2 million for a nicer car? So here's how you actually implement the $5,000 car rule in real life. It's broken into 3 phases based on your net worth and financial position. Phase 1, Foundation. This is where most people are. Net worth under $100,000. No significant investments. Maybe some retirement savings, but nothing substantial. In this phase, you follow the rule strictly. Buy a reliable used car for $5,000 or less. Cash, no financing. Drive that car for 3 to 5 years. And every month, take what would have been your car payment and invest it. Roth, IRA, index funds, 401k, whatever. Just invest it. This phase is about building your foundation. Phase 2. The upgrade. You've been following phase 1 for several years. Your net worth is now between $200,000 and $300,000. You have real investments, real savings. Now you can upgrade. But here's the key. You still pay cash. Buy a nicer used car. $10,000 to $15,000. Maybe it's only 2 years old instead of 10. Lower mileage, nicer interior. But you're still not financing. You're still buying used. And you're still investing the difference between what you're spending and what everyone else is spending on new car payments. Phase 3. True wealth. Your net worth is over $500,000. You have passive income. Your investments are compounding. At this point, the car doesn't matter as much. You can buy whatever you want because it's a tiny percentage of your net worth. Some people at this level still drive 10-year-old cars because they don't care. Others buy new cars because they've earned it and it doesn't impact their wealth. The point is, by the time you reach phase 3, the car decision is no longer make or break. You've already won financially. Most people skip straight to phase 3 behavior while they're still in phase 1 financially. They buy the car they want before they can afford it, and that's why they stay broke forever. Let me give you a real example. I personally followed this rule. When I was 25, I was driving a financed car. I was paying $450 a month. I realized I was destroying my financial future for something that got me from point A to point B. So I sold the car, paid off the loan, and bought a used 2008 Honda Civic for $6,000 cash. For the next 4 years, I invested that $450 every month into index funds. At the end of 4 years, that investment account had over $26,000 in it. My car was still running perfectly, and I had zero stress about payments. Meanwhile, my coworkers who bought new cars, they were still making payments and had nothing in savings. Fast forward 10 years. I now have a 6-figure investment portfolio. I eventually upgraded to a nicer used car, paid cash, and I'm still investing aggressively. My coworkers who kept buying new cars every few years, they're still broke, still making payments, still stressed about money, same salaries, completely different financial outcomes. The only difference? I followed the $5,000 car rule. They didn't. There's another example from Thomas Stanley's research on millionaires. He found that the average millionaire drives a car that's less than 4 years old, but bought it used. They let someone else take the depreciation hit. They pay cash, and they invest the difference. That's how you build wealth. Not by looking rich, but by being rich. So what do you do if you're trapped in a car payment right now? Here's your action plan. First, figure out where you stand. Look at your current car's value, your loan balance, and your monthly payment. If you're underwater on the loan, meaning you owe more than the car is worth, you need a plan to pay it off as fast as possible. Cut expenses, pick up extra work, throw every extra dollar at that loan until it's gone. Once the car is paid off, don't trade it in. Don't upgrade. Drive it until it dies. And the second you're free from payments, start investing what you were paying every month. $500, $600, whatever it is. Invest it, automate it, make it impossible to spend. When it's finally time to replace the car, start saving cash in a dedicated account. When you have $5,000 saved, go buy a reliable used car. Research it first. Consumer Reports, Kelley Blue Book. Get a pre-purchase inspection. Buy smart, pay cash, then restart the investment cycle. If you're starting from scratch, skip the new car entirely. Buy a $5,000 used car now. Invest what everyone else is paying in car payments. Build your foundation, and in 10 to 15 years, you'll have wealth while everyone else is still trapped in the payment cycle. The $5,000 car rule isn't just about cars. It's about understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. Cars are liabilities. They cost money. They depreciate. They drain your wealth. Investments are assets. They grow. They compound. They build your future. Every financial decision you make is a choice between looking wealthy now or being wealthy later. The car you drive is the most visible choice you make. And for most people, it's the choice that keeps them broke forever. They finance a lifestyle they can't afford to impress people who don't care, while actual millionaires drive used cars and quietly build generational wealth. This isn't about deprivation. It's not about driving a junker for the rest of your life. It's about being strategic. It's about playing the long game. It's about understanding that the decisions you make in your 20s and 30s determine whether you retire wealthy or broke. And the car decision is one of the biggest. If this video changed how you think about cars and money, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you going to follow the $5,000 car rule, or are you going to keep paying for depreciation? Let's learn from each other. Remember, the goal isn't to look rich. The goal is to be rich. And sometimes that means driving a 10-year-old Camry while you build a 7-figure investment portfolio. See you in the next one.